So guys, I'm Jason Morris, and it's Real Estate Agents That Really Work, and we're recording now. It can be difficult. Would you guys like for me to show you guys how to soften up those calls a little bit? Because I believe that we can, depending on how we approach basically a community, that we can soften up calls a little bit. So they're a little bit more receptive to us. They're a little bit more willing to have a conversation with us, right? So let's see. Let me show you guys what is Geo Leads. I want to show this because I think it's a fantastic tool for what we're doing in the industry that we're in. So let's see. Let me reshare my screen again. There we go. There we go. I got it up. So guys, have you guys ever heard of Geo Leads? Have you guys ever heard of Geo Leads? Do you know what it is? Guys, this is one of Redx's latest products, and this is basically what I'm showing you guys is what's called Vortex. This is the Redx system. This is the Redx system, and this is basically the CRM that you basically get for free. We do Redx. Now I'm using the Onyx version. Onyx version is a little bit more expensive, but it gives you a lot more data. The regular version, but the Geo Leads is a product that we want to talk about tonight here for a few minutes. So what you do is, let's say you click the Geo Leads button. See, this is how it basically lays out. I'm going to show you this real quick. So you log in, you click over here on Geo Leads. It basically shows you all the ones you pulled up, all the ones that are in my database on this account. But you basically click the Geo Leads button. It actually pulls up, and you get a map. Okay, and what we'll do is we'll put let's see, I need an address. Gosh, let's see. I honestly, guys, I went blank on an address. Let's see, 90 Palisades Drive, Pawleys Island. So basically, we pull up an address, and what it does is it shows us the community there. So I pulled up 90 Palisades Drive. This is just the first one that came to mind. We go over here and we can put in nearest. We go up to nearest 500. Right? We're going to just do the nearest 100. I just want to show you guys how this works. You click preview. When you click preview, it basically pulls up. These are the numbers that it pulls up in their system. You see the little blue dots? Right? And all you got to do is you hit Get Leads. You can add them to a specific folder. You push the button Get Leads, and it adds them to your database. And then you can go right into calling them with the Storm Dialer. So it's all integrated in one place. So you're not logging into one thing, exporting out of one, importing into another. Geo Leads makes it. Redx created this product, and they make it extremely, extremely easy. You can even put how many phone numbers you want per thing. What this does is they go through their database, they go through the community, they go through public records, and they basically figure out what they believe. Their algorithm figures out what's the best lead, what's the best phone number for that lead source. Here we'll go to another one. We'll just kind of go down here and we'll just pick. Let's do this down here, Newman Loop, and just see what comes up here. Okay, we'll push that button, pull that up. We're going to do the nearest 100. We click the preview button, and there we go. We got the nearest 100 phone numbers to Newman Loop just that quick. Is that pretty cool, guys? And this product without the dialer and everything, I want to say it's $40 a month. If you call them, you tell them you're in Real Estate Agents That Really Work. You tell them that I sent you, and they waive the $150 setup fee. You can also use the link jasonmorrisredx.com. But Geo Leads for you guys that are wanting to call neighborhoods, and I'm going to tell you how to use this, because I think one of the most important things, and I don't see a lot of people doing this or a lot of companies do it, is they'll have a great product like this, and then they don't show you how to use it. So how do we use the 2,000 number credit? So with the $40 subscription, they give you 2,000 credits. So that's basically 2,000 address lookups, right, where they get valid information. Okay, and then you can add to that. You can add to that, and you can look up as many you want. This account, this is just a basic account. I get 2,000 lookups a month, which 2,000 lookups, if you're looking up in the community, you can do a lot with that. So what happens though with a lot of agents is they get a product like this, and then they go, oh man, I don't know what to say. Have you guys ever felt like that? You got a product, you got leads, and you felt like, man, I don't know what to say, and I don't know what to do with them, and I don't know how to effectively use them. I feel like that's a problem that a lot of agents have, and they really kind of struggle with what to say and what to do. Now, I'm always been under the mindset that when we get a lead source or we're about to make calls and stuff, that we need to kind of have our plan drawn out. Does that make sense to you? That if you got a plan, you can actually succeed. I see a lot of agents, and they'll 100% cold call, and it's basically the equivalent. They do the equivalent of opening up a phone book and dialing numbers. Does that give me a heart if you've ever seen agents do that and you heard about agents doing that? Basically they're opening the equivalent of open the phone book, calling everybody. We see it with door knocking too. Agents literally, they park their car some random street and they get out and they just start knocking on doors, which is crazy. No rhyme, reason. So they basically are that crazy person going door to door. Let me ask you this. How many times have you had a conversation on the phone with somebody that was 100% cold call? Or how many times have you had a conversation with somebody that just basically walked up to your door, knocked on the door, and just said, hey, I'm just looking around the community, wanting to know who wants to sell? Guys, that's something that I learned very early in my career that is really difficult to do, and it's really taxing. But if we can take and we can learn how to warm up those calls a little bit, then if we can warm up that call a little bit before we call or have a reason to call, I feel like we can have a little bit more success with it. Wouldn't you agree? So I'm going to show you guys here what's been successful with me in the past. I'll show you guys that missed the thing just a second ago. I've seen a lot of people have logged on here in the last like 2 minutes. Guys, this is Geo Leads, and basically you pick an address. We're going to pick another address. So let's see here. We'll scroll up a little bit. I don't have one specifically, but let's say Club Circle right there. Club Circle, Pawleys Island. And you can literally do this anywhere. I'm just doing it like pretty much around the area I live in. Club Circle, we put in Club Circle, we hit the button, and man, it pulled up 100 people just like that. Let's do it on 500 people. Let's do it on 500 people, see what it looks like, right? Wouldn't it be cool if you could push one button, call 500 people, and invite them all to your open house? Wouldn't that be pretty powerful? Or call them and tell them all about your new listing. Call them all and tell them about the listing you just sold. So guys, let's go ahead and get into what we're going to do with these leads. Okay, I'm going to stop sharing there. So guys, one of the things that I've just learned in the real estate business, that most of what we're doing is we're building and we're working on trust. And one of the things that I've learned in the business too is that if we can go out there and figure out basically how can we win the trust of people, most of the time people are going to work with the agent they trust and the agent they feel like has a plan to sell their house. Wouldn't you agree? If we can figure out, if we can build our systems around building trust, and we can build our system around having a plan for them, then I feel like we can win more than the average agent that's out there winging it. Most agents in your market and most agents in your office are literally, they're going out there and winging it. They have no plan. They have no objective. They just show up at people's house and they hope for the best. So with circle calling and Geo Leads, I was looking at what I've done in the past and what I've been doing in my business and what I've done in the past in my business at what actually works and what can I teach you that's easy, right? All of us want something that's easy. I mean, I'm going to be honest with you. This isn't like super easy, but it's a lot easier than opening up the phone book and dialing. So 5 circle prospecting scripts. Okay. The first one here, how to call around just listeds. Now, here's something that's really interesting for you guys that are brand new agents. I'm assuming you work in an office and the office has listings, right? And I know the question I always get when I talk about this is, what if you don't have listings? Well, what if you don't have listings? Probably be okay if you talk about your office listings, right? You know, that's something that a lot of new agents in offices really don't seem to teach is, hey, if you don't have business, if you don't have a track record, then you might not have one, but hopefully your office does. Hopefully the people you work with do. And I mean, to the general public, they believe that EXP is EXP. Keller Williams is Keller Williams. Century 21, Century 21, right? So I encourage you that if you don't have a track record, you haven't sold property, to use your office's track record. Use the people you work with. Instead of saying I sold, say my office sold, right? Get in the habit of saying that. Even if you are an experienced agent, your office is your office. That's the people you work with every day. That's your team, right? So how to call around just listed. So this is a simple script I'm going to share with you. Hey, Mr. Seller, this is Jason Morris with eXp Realty. We just put a home on the market down the street from yours. I was wondering if you knew anybody that might be looking to move. Let them answer. That's it. If they say yes, ask them how can you get in touch with that person. And then even if they say, well, no, I don't really know anybody that's interested, say, well, I'll tell you what, I'd be happy to email you over some information on it in case you run into somebody who you think you want to be your neighbor. Slight pause. What's your email address? You guys can screenshot these if you want to. Feel free to screenshot these. Would you like me to keep you informed on what's happening in your neighborhood with homes becoming active and selling? How easy is that script, guys? I'll tell you, all the stuff I teach in my group coaching is like this. It's easy. It makes sense. If I called you, give me a thumbs up if I called you and I use this script, if you'd feel comfortable talking with me. I mean, it's a super easy script, guys. The stuff we're going to talk about, the stuff we talk about in our group coaching. Yeah, Paul, all the scripts that I use, they're available in my group coaching. So here in the near future too, man, I'm gonna actually put all my scripts in the same book. But as for right now, they're in my group coaching though. So yeah, super easy script, guys. I'll tell you what, let's go to the next one. If you guys have questions, go ahead, put them in the chat box. Go ahead and ask them on Facebook. I've been watching both of them. I think we got about 80 people on the call. But this is super easy script, right? Next one. So how to call around just sold. Listen to this one. A lot of people think this is mind-blowing. I see a lot of real estate coaches out there. They have these scripts that have crazy questions. They're 2 pages long. You can't get through half the script before they've hung up on you. And most of the questions are about as relevant as, is your cat going to go with you when you move? It doesn't even matter, right? How to call around just solds. So Hey, Mr. Seller, Mr. or Mrs. Seller, this is Jason Morris with eXp Realty. Hey, we sold a home down the street from yours. I was wondering if you knew of any neighbors that might be interested in selling. Let them answer. If they ask you, if they say yes, ask them how to get in touch with them. If they say they might be interested, set an appointment as soon as possible, right? Either way, go through the same script again. Hey, well, I'd be happy to email you over some information in case you run into somebody that you'd like to be your neighbor. What's your email address? Would you like me to keep you informed of what's happening in your neighborhood and how with homes coming active on the market? I'll tell you, Cole Realty resource. I'll tell you, in my opinion, I like Redx. It's all in one system. It's all in one system. My dialer's there. Everything's right there. All my leads are in one place. I mean, that's the thing for me is it's just easy to open it up, have one login, and just start calling. You know, where when you got several different systems, sometimes it can get a little confusing. Sometimes it get old just to upload and sync everything. And I have always felt like every time I've switched from Redx, I've went back to Redx. So, and I've been with Redx, gosh, probably I've been with Redx over 10 years. So guys, let's go to the next one. So, how to call around pending listings. So I feel like you guys are maybe seeing a little bit of a pattern here. You know, I think that some of us as real estate agents, we just make things too hard, you know? So, hey, Mr. and Mrs. Seller, this is Jason Morris with eXp Realty. We just had a home down the street from yours go under contract. I was wanting to know if you knew anyone else in the community that might be thinking about selling their home. Let them answer. If they say yes, ask them how you get in touch with that person. If they tell you that they're interested, set an appointment with them as soon as possible. I think that this is the simpler your script is. Guys, this is something too. The more difficult you make your scripts, the more difficult it's just going to be, right? The more it's like a real conversation, the easier it's going to be. Like you guys that are in my group coaching, you guys listen to my, you guys look at my scripts and stuff that we use, the general script, the for sale by owner script that we use for sale by owners and expires. It's really, really simple. Same thing. You know, guys, and every time you go through this, when you're calling, ask them for their email address. I'd be happy to email you over some information in case you run into somebody you think you want to be your neighbor. What's your email address? There's going to be you're going to get a lot of yeses to that. Yeah, go ahead and send it over to me. Here's the thing. Now, if you're calling people and you're going, hey, Jason Morris from eXp Realty, you want to sell your house? What kind of answers are you going to get? So guys, think about that. What kind of answers are you going to get? However, if you're calling them, you're introducing yourself, you're immediately stating why you're calling, then you're asking a couple of questions. I personally feel like you're going to build a little bit of trust and you're going to have a better chance of something coming from that conversation, something of value coming from that conversation. So guys, I think this is a fantastic script too. Have you guys ever, I know that with all of you on here, there's a lot of people that have done open houses. Give me the thumbs up if you've ever done an open house. Right? We got a bunch of you guys doing thumbs up. So pretty much everybody's done a thumbs up. Now, something I learned several years ago was that the more people I could let know about my open house, the more likely it was that I was going to get a lot of people to show up. So you've done an open house, but write yes or no in the comments. Have you ever called and personally invited people to your open house? I think the reason why a lot of agents haven't ever called and actually invited people to their open house is because it was too difficult to get the community's phone numbers, right? So let me ask you, your next open house, how big of an impact is it going to make on it if you're able to call the community? To actually call the community before the open house and use this script. Hey, Mr. and Mrs. Seller, this is Jason Morris for the XP Realty. I wanted to give you a call. We're having an open house on Saturday from 1 to 4 at 123 Main Street. I want to invite you to come take a look. Do you know anybody that might be looking to be in your new neighbor? That's it. I'd be happy to email you some information on it in case you run into somebody you think you want to be your neighbor. What's your email address? Right? Think about your next open house. If you really planned ahead, you know, you put out signs, you put out balloons, you called a couple of days before, went around, door knocked the neighborhood, put out flyers. I'll tell you, the people that are most likely to come to your open houses are the people that are thinking about selling their house. The nosy neighbors, I guarantee you, if you start doing this and you start having open houses and you actually plan the open house, we're talking about really plan the open house, and you call ahead, you put out your flyers, right? And then I'm going to tell you something else you can do afterwards. But you call ahead. I want to invite you to come take a look. Do you know anybody that might be looking to be your neighbor? I'd be happy to email you over some information in case you run into somebody that you think you want to be your neighbor. Would you like me to keep you informed of what's happening in your neighborhood with homes becoming active and selling? Guys, what an easy script that is. Super, super easy. How would you respond? Give me one word. How would you respond if somebody called you tomorrow about an open house this weekend in your neighborhood? Use the same script. How would you respond to it? Would you respond favorably, or would you hang up the phone on them? So guys, I got the last one here. Now, I'll tell you, for the open house, let's go back to this open house again. So let's say you call ahead, right? You call before the open house. And then after the open house, you call the community again and you said, hey, this is Jason Morris for the XP Realty. I wanted to give you a call. We had an open house this weekend and we had a fantastic turnout. Had 22 people to come. I was wondering if you knew anybody in the neighborhood that might, anybody else in the neighborhood that might want to sell their house. How powerful a script this would be. You've already touched the neighborhood. Think about this. How quickly could you become like the neighborhood celebrity? You've already called them. You put out flyers. You did an open house. Then you called them following up after the open house the next Monday, right? You did 4 touches to the community. Everybody there is going to know who Derek Radford is. Everybody's going to know who Shannon Payton is, right? If 4 people, and then let's just say you did a completely integrated approach. You took this data, you took the data you pulled from here, and you went and done targeted Facebook ads along with a postcard. I mean, within a week, everybody's going to know. Yep, Tricia said you can even send a text reminder the day before. So everybody's going to know who you are. I'll tell you this, a great call I did with my group coaching, and it's back in the archives, is where we actually went through and talked about a super open house plan, right? Because I believe that we can take very, very cost effectively, we could create an open house plan using Geo Leads, a small Facebook budget, maybe some postcards, and some work on our end, and we could dominate neighborhoods with a solid open house strategy that included multiple touches, right? So guys, let's talk about this last script, and then I got plenty of time for your questions. How to just cold call. You know, guys, I'm not a big fan of cold calling, but I understand sometimes some hot markets, you got to get listings, right? So this is a script that I've used lots of times, and I've used a lot in the past. Hey, I'm Jason Morris with eXp Realty. We've had a lot of interest in your area, and there are not many quality properties available. Would you happen to know anybody in your neighborhood thinking about selling? Let them answer. If they say yes, ask them how you get in touch with the person. If they say they may be interested, you set an appointment immediately. Now, all the maybes you get, all the people that talk to you a little bit about selling, ask you some questions, put them in your database, right? Because you always have the opportunity to follow up. Most of your business in the real estate business is going to be follow up. So guys, I got some time for some question and answer. What questions do you have? What problems do you have in your business? If you're cold calling now, if you're circle prospecting now, what problems are you running into? What can I help you with? Guys, my group coaching is open. We have spots available. You go to jasonmorrisgroupcoaching.com. You can sign up. The regular price is $99. If you join tonight, it's just $40 using the coupon code Back on Track. Guys, we've been doing a big push in my group coaching. I've got some agents with some fantastic results that are crushing it at the start of September. So what questions do you guys have? What things can I help you with tonight? Hey, thanks, Paul. Hey, thanks, Ron. I got a question about coal lead services. The difference between Redx and coal resources is coal resources is a separate system. For me personally, every time I've switched from Redx, I've always went back to Redx. I feel like the data is always high quality, is consistently high quality. Now, guys, the data that you're going to get with neighborhoods, with Redx and Geo Leads, is all mined data. There's nobody inputting their phone number onto a website. It's all mined data that's basically looked up by an algorithm in databases. Let's see, another question I got here. Can I look up these numbers myself? Well, you could possibly look up the numbers yourself. It's going to be a ton of work. I mean, to look up 100 numbers for a neighborhood, using Geo Leads, it's like the click of a button. Looking them up yourself, looking up the people yourself is going to be super, super time consuming. And then the other side of the coin is we don't have access to a lot of databases. We got access to like the free stuff, So I pay $40 a month without the dialer versus looking them up yourself. I'd pay the $40 a month. I wouldn't hesitate. Is there a special rate for Vortex? Now, Vortex you actually get with all the services. That's basically Redx's CRM. It's free with any service you get. And Geo Leads is $40, but the Vortex just comes with it. Now, if you tell them that you are in Real Estate Agents That Really Work and that I sent you, they will actually waive the $150 setup fee, and they have some specials for packages. Now, can you map out the area you want numbers for homes? Yes, you can. You can actually draw a box or a circle on the map, and you can do just that area if you want. So absentee owners. So I'm assuming you're calling people that are out of town. Maybe this is a second home for them. You know what? I'd go through a similar script. I'd focus on neighborhoods and focus on where we had something going on. If I was calling just absentee owners, you know what? I'd use something really simple. It'd just be, hey, this is Jason Morris from eXp Realty. I seen that you owned a home over at 123 Main Street. I was wondering, it looks like a second home. I was wondering if you're interested in selling it. According to the tax maps, it's a second home. Would you be interested in selling it? Investment homes, rentals. I'll tell you guys, rentals, I did a big for rent by owner thing a while back, Carolina, and literally put entire for rent by owner system. And the key to for rent by owners, a lot of agents miss it. The key to for rent by owners is to make contact and continuously follow up until one of two things happen. Either the tenant ends their lease and moves, or the tenant messes up, right? The tenant misses rent, pays late, the seller gets in a little bit of a bind, or the owner gets in a little bit of a bind. The great thing with for rent by owners is that in investment homes is that typically they're not emotionally attached. My personal opinion is if it's for sale, if it's for rent, it's probably for sale. So yeah, I tell you, I think that every agent, I think if you're serious about growing your business and serious about growing a listing business, the thing that you should start doing tomorrow is you should start calling for rent by owners and databasing them. Onyx, guys, is that Redx is. I just got asked, what is Onyx, and is there any deal for it? My understanding is there's not. They waive the setup fee for it if you tell them that I sent you. However, for Onyx, Onyx is their premium service. They don't really market Onyx. You actually have to do like a test, a little survey. And they don't sell Onyx to everybody. The thing about it is Onyx. I'll tell you what the difference between Onyx is and the regular Redx data. Onyx, what they give you is they basically search their database and they give you all of the contact information, including email addresses, for a specific property. Now, the thing about it is some of these properties you might get 5, 6, 7 phone numbers, 9 phone numbers, right? And now what they've done is, if you're using Storm Dialer, it's going to call the most likely numbers first. Now, what you're going to get is you're going to get a lot of hard to get numbers, but you're going to get all the information that's available for that specific number. So what your job ends up being, Paul, is it's your job to basically sift through the data yourself. Which, here's the thing about Onyx. I'll tell you, in my market, I feel like they said across the board, this is across the board, they get 55, 60% of expireds. They get a valid number that's somebody in the household. Now, I seem to get higher than that sometimes. But, sometimes what I might get is I might get the guy's old girlfriend. I might get the owner's 16-year-old kid, somewhere, somehow or another, that kid's cell phone numbers ended up in a database. However, if you get that random person, you get the seller's grandma, you know what I mean? Hey, you would not believe if you ask, they tell you, oh yeah, well, I know Tom Smith. And you go, oh, do you have a good number for him? You will not believe how many of these people will give you that person's phone number. And the difference between Onyx and a lot of the systems out there is you're going to get a lot of those hard to get numbers, right? You're going to have to dial more numbers. So I would not attempt to use Onyx without a dialer, right? And here's the thing though. You've got to call all the numbers, right? You got to call all the numbers you get. You call them all, you talk to them all, you go down through the same script, leave a message. I think every person you call, you should leave a message for, a voicemail. Now, if you're using a dialer, it just automatically will drop a voicemail for you. And you can just move on to the next one. And I think that's the best way to do it when you're calling a massive number of people. But here's the thing. If you leave a voicemail, you might get a call back. If you don't leave a voicemail, you're almost guaranteed you're not going to get a call back. I would leave a voicemail for every person I called. No questions about it. I think the more voicemails you leave, the more opportunities you're going to have for callbacks, Don't worry about awkward callbacks either. Hey, we all get them and we're all awkward, right? That's something that that a lot of agents worry about. Hey, what happens when somebody calls back and you don't really know what they say? or you don't know who they are, all you got to do is really simple, Paul, as you go, hey, I'm sorry, I'm not in my office right now. What is your name and what is your number? Give me about 20 minutes and I'll call you right back. So they give you their name, give you the number. You go punch their phone number into the search thing and pull up the property. Call them right back. Yeah, that's it. Richard asked, do I suggest calling mobile numbers and those on the do not call list? Richard, I call all the numbers, right? If somebody gets angry with you, hey, here's the thing. If somebody gets angry with you, then really, I mean, it isn't like they're not going to come beat you up. They're not going to recognize you in Walmart later on today. None of that. If they say, oh man, I'm on the do not call list, say, I apologize for calling you. I will take you off my list and hang up the phone. That's it. Delete them from your database. That's all. If they get angry with you, tell you not to call back, just don't call back, right? A lot of agents don't like to make calls because of fear, and they fear what the other person is going to say. But here's the thing, they don't know you, they don't know me. Like I just told you, they're not going to recognize you in a restaurant at dinner later on tonight. They're not going to beat you up at Walmart. They're not going to show up at your office. You know what I mean? That's the truth of it. Just hang up the phone and move on to the next number. There's too many good people out there that want to work with you and need your help to worry about one person getting angry at you. How do you overcome the fear of making calls? Fear is really interesting. I think fear goes two ways. I think that fear can cripple us and defeat us, but I think at the same time we can use fear to get us where we want to be. And I believe that if we take and write down, make a list of the things you fear more than calling, and everybody's a little bit different, the thing for me is like what I fear the most, I fear not being able to pay my bills. I fear I haven't had a job in 14 years, but I don't want to go back to having a job, I think I'm unemployable at this point in life and this point in my career. But what things do you fear the most? Did you promise your kids you're going to take them to Disney World for Christmas? And you know that if you don't start making calls and you don't start getting more listings, you're not going to Disney World, right? Do you fear I'll tell you what, for a lot of you guys, do you fear having to drag buyers around in your car and answer to their beck and call the rest of your real estate career? Guys, that was one of the things for me one of the things I learned was that when I first started the real estate business and I worked with buyers, that I was always going to be in reaction mode working with buyers. They were always going to call me. Raise your hand if you've ever had this to happen. They call you and they got to see a house right now because it just got sent to them on the auto sender. Right? And you got to stop what you're doing. You got to cancel plans with friends, family, your kids, and you got to go show them the house, because if you don't, what's going to happen is they're going to call the next agent on the list, the other agent that's been sitting on properties, because we know they're already signed up on 10 different websites, right? I'll tell you guys, that was one of my biggest fears. Having those ups and downs in my business. Think about that, where you have 5 closings 1 month and then the next 2 months you're zeros, right? You work so hard dragging those buyers around, getting those contracts signed, doing the inspections for them, all this stuff that you couldn't really work on any new business. Guys, the way that we level out those peaks and valleys is we build a strong listing business. That's one of the things I talk about in my group coaching that I teach you how to do, is build a strong listing business. Because I will tell you, most of us will not survive. Most of us cannot survive being a buyer's agent only. We have to have a mix. And the higher our mix is with listings, the more we're going to be able to control our schedule, our lives, and our income. The number one thing I believe that you can do for yourself and your family and your financial future is get really good on the phone and get really good at taking listings. I like that, Carolina. Yeah, Karen, you know what? Getting listings sometimes is like dating, but you have to have a system. You have to have a process, and that's what I teach is as how to go through that process. What you need to do, how to set the appointment, what you need to do between the appointment and you getting to their front door, what you do inside the house, and how do you sit at the kitchen table and take the listing? How do you prepare for it? It's one thing that agents don't do. We show up and we wing it. We're the only profession that is literally, we're probably 99% full of wingers. 99% full of wingers. So guys, what other questions do you have? I got about 5 more minutes, 10 more minutes that I can spend with you tonight. What other questions do you have? What things do you have going on in your business? What things can I help you with? What things have you heard tonight that you feel like, man, if I could do that better, if I could get more of this, what things have you heard tonight that if you could change, that it would be better for you? So what do you do on a listing appointment? So I just got, what do you do on a listing appointment? Guys, number one, and we talked about this earlier, you don't overstay your welcome. The biggest thing that I see agents do is, most of us are pretty social people and we kind of like people. So what we end up doing is we literally go to people's house and we spend the afternoon with them. And I used to do this when I was a brand new agent. I would leave the house going, man, those people loved me. I stayed 3 hours. They invited me to go to dinner with them. They invited me to go to dinner with them because they didn't think I was going to leave. That was the truth. Now, when you get to the house, one thing I learned was the longer I stayed in their house, the least likely it was that I was going to get the listing. That was something I learned that was kind of eye-opening to me. So what I started doing was I started timing my listing appointments. And at first I made bullet points, and hey, it's great to talk to them or have something in common with them. Maybe you both are South Carolina Gamecocks fans, right? You both like Notre Dame football. That's fantastic. However, it's just like going to your doctor's appointment. When you go to the doctor, you're there because you're sick. You're not there for a social visit. The doctor's only there because it's his job. You might know one another. You might like one another. You might have a lot of things in common. You might hang out on the weekends, but that's not why you're at the office today. You're there because you got a sore throat. And a lot of us forget that. We're only there. They're only allowing us to come to their house because they want to sell their house. And for some reason, they think that we might have a buyer. And the only reason why we're actually at their house is because it's our job. So, but Tatiana, we're almost done, but it's all recorded. So, so Caroline, I need to get better at having conversations instead of sounding like interrogating them on the phone. You know what? That takes practice. I'll tell you guys this too. Redx, if you're a Redx subscriber, they have a role play hotline, and it is free. All you have to do is be a subscriber. You call them, you set up the call. They go through the scripts. They've got all my scripts. They go through them with you. They critique you on them, and then they send you the recording of the calls so you can listen back to it. I'll tell you, that alone is worth the price of the subscription. Shannon, definitely going to look at Geo Leads. I use Redx, but haven't explored other parts. Need to work on confidence for calling. Shannon, I think that confidence for calling, I think it's a learned thing. I think it's learned, and I think your environment has a lot to do with it. Your environment and your mindset. For me, I knew that, this is how it was when I first started making calls. Now this was back in 2003, 2004. When I first started making calls, this was what my options were. We didn't really have the internet like we have the internet today. We didn't have Facebook or any of that stuff. But most of the agents doing a lot of business were doing mail. I was literally a broke college kid. I had no money to spend on mail. I was financially, I was writing checks hoping that my paycheck went into my account before they cashed the check, right? And calling is literally the most cost-effective form of marketing that you can do, and it's the easiest way. If you want more listings, the number one way to get them is to talk to more sellers. That's it. It just makes sense, Karen said at some listings, the seller wants to talk about everything, gets all focused on the listing. I'm learning how to take control and get them on focus. Karen, I'll tell you what, that is such an important skill. A lot of it's listening to them, asking questions, pulling them back. When they start going off in some crazy random direction, pulling them back in, And I'll tell you this too. One thing I've learned in the real estate business is the more upfront I am, the more brutally honest I am with people about their homes, the better reception I get. Now I'm not mean, but I'll tell you this, like if I see a problem, I point the problem out. Now I don't just point the problem out because let's be honest, they probably know their house smells like dog pee if they got 4 dogs, 6 dogs, They probably know they have a pet odor. They might not be 100% aware of it. They know there's a water stain in the living room, right? So I believe what we have to do is I believe we need to be honest about that. Hey, a water stain in the living room. If there's a water stain in the living room, number one, is the roof fixed? Number two, if the roof is fixed, we need to get the ceiling fixed because every single buyer that comes in the house, when they see the stain in the ceiling, they're going to go, oh, there's a roof problem. Got to get that fixed. They're going to automatically assume the problem's still there, right? Don't state a problem without stating the solution, right? Sellers are hiring us because we're problem solvers. So Richard, have you noticed a difference calling in the morning between the hours of 8 and 10 or 4 to 6? Now, Richard, I'll tell you, this is something for me that I believe that we got to do. I believe we have to have a schedule and we have to follow it. Now, for me, I've always called in the morning. Now, every once in a while, I've been disciplined enough that I call in the afternoon, some too, but the reason I called in the morning was because, number one, when I got to the office at 8 o'clock in the morning, my energy was high. My mindset was really strong. I hadn't been worn down by the day with craziness and random stuff in our day. The problem with calling between 4 and 6 is, man, at 5 o'clock, 6 o'clock, I'm done with people, I'm done with people. I'm done with the world. And I could say all I wanted to. Hey, I'm gonna call from 6 to 8 tonight. I could say that over and over again, but more than likely what would happen is I get home, eat dinner, watch a little bit of TV. Next thing I know, it's 9 o'clock. Life would just get in the way. And that's something I've learned with a lot of people. If you allow life to get in the way in the morning before you start making calls, you will probably not make calls. Every day that I've been scheduled to make calls at 8 a.m., and I said, oh, well, I need to run here. I need to do this. I need to do this first. Got to do this real quick. Next thing I know, it's 12 o'clock. I miss my window of calls and time frame, and I don't make calls that day. I think you should do it the time that you could do it, but I think it needs to be pretty close to number one on your schedule. I think in your schedule you need to have family time, family commitments. Business commitments needs to be number two, and prospecting, non-negotiable business commitments. We're talking about continuing education. We're talking about if you're networking at chamber events, we're talking about those things. Things that won't change the time because of you. And number 3 needs to be your prospecting time. That's the order of importance of things going into your schedule. So Jim O'Day, I've had a rough summer. What am I doing wrong? Jim, the question I got for you is, what is you doing? Like, what are you doing? What's a typical day looking like for you? I'm happy to help you. I'm happy to answer your question. You can send me a message through Facebook if you want. But typically when I see a lot of agents telling me they had a rough summer, and I think this was an odd summer for most of us. I think we started a market shift during the summer. But most of the time it's just you're not calling enough, you're not following up enough. Typically, a lot of agents that typically most of the time it's going to be your follow up. But send me a message, man. I'll help you a little bit more than that. We go into more detail. So I got time for a couple more questions. Hey, Paul. Paul just joined group coaching. Fantastic, man. Fantastic. I tell you what, we've had a lot of great things in there. Yesterday's group coaching call. I did a call last night. It was just a special call. Typically, they're Thursdays at 11 Eastern, which I do every Thursday at 11 a.m. Eastern. Last night, I didn't want there to be any excuses. We're all pushing hard. September's a big month. September's the first month where kids go back to school and the summer's over. So a lot of agents start pushing the brakes a little bit and slowing down a little bit, right? So I had some agents say, oh, well, I'm not subscribed to any service to get leads or anything. What do I do? Who do I prospect? So last night I did a call where I gave you 10 free lead sources, dude. If you're not subscribed to anything, you got to look that up. If you are, go back, listen to the last 2 or 3 weeks. There's a lot of stuff in there, and listen to today's. Today was a good call. And let me know how I can help you with your business. Make sure you go to the pinned post though and put what your goal is for this month. So market shift. Karen, you know what? There's a lot of places in the country that have been on fire. All of a sudden, inventory went up quite a bit, and it could be a bunch of different reasons. It could be the market's outpacing incomes as far as prices. It could be that things are slowing down. We have the interest rates ticking up a little bit. There's a lot of different things. I mean, and then in the world as a whole, I think there's a lot of uncertainty. We have some interesting political times we have going on. And some people are super confident. Some people aren't so confident, But I think that, we have to have, and you know what, Matt's correct. The shift is too many frustrated buyers. The thing that sucks the most about being in a market where inventory is low is when you have those buyers that are truly qualified, they can get a loan. However, they keep losing out to multiple offers. And then after a second, third, fourth time, they go, you know what, let's just keep renting. It's just not meant to be. They get frustrated, The house they really want has 10 offers the day it goes on the market. So I agree with you too, Matt. I think that could be it. My market's kind of been steady. It's moved up. We're not on fire. We're not doing escalation clauses and stuff like that in contracts. But if it's priced right, it sells well. If it's a little bit overpriced, it doesn't sell well. So Angelina, yeah, I hate you missed it, but yeah, it's recorded. It'll actually be on YouTube in the morning. Guys, subscribe to my YouTube channel. Just go to YouTube and search Jason Morris Group, and you'll see it. I think I got some videos and different stuff on there, but this will be on YouTube in the morning. So what other questions do you guys have? So my group coaching is a month to month. There's no contracts. Cancel at any time. Regular price is $99. You can join Join tonight for $40 using the coupon code Back on Track. Now, my group coaching, I will tell you, we focus on getting listings. We focus on getting listings and prospecting. I do talk some about buyers, but probably 80% of the conversation is geared towards sellers. I believe a lot of you guys that have been following me for a while have kind of heard my story, but I believe that the way that we build a long-term business, and the way that we build a long-term profitable business, and we don't kill ourselves in the process, is by having a seller-heavy business. I can give you so many examples. I mean, I'll tell you this. A couple of years ago, me and Laura were on a cruise. While we were out in the Caribbean, I sold 3 properties. I made $17,000 while we were on a cruise ship. Last year, we were in the mountains. It was for one of the hurricanes. One of the hurricanes we evacuated. We went to Gatlinburg because there was a guy I'm friends with was doing a special training there. So we go up to Gatlinburg. While we were at Gatlinburg, I went to this little training event, and at the same time, I sold one property that week. You can't do that with buyers. If you're working with sellers, you can have 50 listings, and all of them can get shown today. If you got 50 qualified buyers, there's no way you could show them all property this month. You're going to be canceling things with friends, family. You're not going to have a life. You're going to work literally as much as possible. With sellers, you can control things a little bit better. So, hey, Kim, hey, sorry you missed it. We're about over. I got time for 1 or 2 more questions, and then, man, I got to watch the rest of the season of Ozarks. We're down like to the last episode. So, guys, hey, I really appreciate you guys being on the call with me tonight. If I can help you with your business, if you have questions about my group coaching, just let me know. Karen, most of my live calls, like the group coaching, and it's on Thursdays. Typically, they're about an hour and 15 minutes. On Thursdays, literally, I will answer questions as long as people in my coaching program have questions. I've done some different stuff, you hear little webinars, and typically most of my free webinars are usually 30, 45 minutes. Some of them are an hour with question and answer. But my group coaching, Thursdays, typically an hour and 15 minutes. Sometimes I do some special things at night because if I see where people are having the same problem, getting a lot of questions, it's a good topic. I'll answer any of your questions through messages or emails or whatever, but I like to do some other things here and there, just depending on kind of what I feel like the need is. Like I felt like this week the need was we had some people that needed some more lead sources, and they're on a tight budget. I brainstormed, looked at things I've done in the past, thought about it, and come up with 10 things I've looked at that were free lead sources. And I probably could have come up with 20. I've been in the business 14 years, and I've been in the Myrtle Beach market. We've been in the market was going up, down, sideways, backwards, when you didn't know which way it was going. So Christopher, as a new agent, I'm getting a lot of good information from a lot of good people. Some of it I'm getting, and some of it not so much. What are a couple key things I should be focusing on? Christopher, the number one thing I wish I would have known, I wish I would have learned, when I first started real estate, I wish somebody would have told me immediately, hey, Jason, get really good at prospecting and get really good on the phone. That was it. That would be the number one thing that I would get really good at. Man, I would get somebody I'd join a coaching program. Mine's pretty cost effective. Mine's probably the best deal I feel like in coaching. And that's what I wanted. I wanted a low-cost solution that was affordable for everybody. Is one of the reasons why I done my group coaching. But I would join some sort of group coaching, and so that I could quickly get over the hump. Most of the biggest agents in your market that are most successful, that are selling the most property, I guarantee you are really strong listing agents. It's like that in every market. So guys, if you're interested in Geo Leads, contact Redx. Tell them I sent you. You can use the domain name jasonmorrisredx.com if you want. Guys, I appreciate you guys being on the call with me tonight. Send me a message through Facebook. Give me a little bit of feedback on what you thought about tonight's call. And I look forward to talking to you guys later. I hope you guys have a fantastic weekend.